Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I look forward to working on this as well. It's that time again when the committee begins the biennial process of crafting water resources legislation. As the chairman said, WRDA, the Water Resources Development Act, authorizes water resource projects and sets national policies for the Civil Works Program of the U.S. Corps of Engineers. The Corps' main mission area of navigation, flood risk management, and ecosystem restoration support the lives and livelihoods of millions of Americans and facilitates commerce throughout this country and internationally. As I noticed in the previous hearing, 2.3 billion short tons of goods and commodities were transported over water in the United States in just 1 year. This is made possible by the nation's ports and inland waterway systems constructed and maintained by the Corps. According to the Corps' own estimates, its flood risk management projects have prevented over $1 trillion in riverine and coastal flood damages, mostly within the last 35 years. These projects and activities, in addition to other important mission areas, are authorized and directed by Congress under WRDA. The most recent WRDA legislation enacted by Congress in 2020 included several provisions that are important to the country and my home state of West Virginia. Importantly, the legislation changed the cost share for projects on the inland waterways system, included provisions to support the development of projects in rural and economically disadvantaged communities, and provided assistance to non-federal sponsors on identifying flood risk management project deficiencies. I was glad to secure an increase in authorization of $160 million for West Virginia's 2 environmental infrastructure programs under the Corps, which help support our drinking water and wastewater projects in the state. But there's much more to do, as you said, Mr. Chairman, and I look forward to working with the chairman and my colleagues to develop the next WRDA bill. It's important that future WRDA legislation supports the development and delivery of water resources projects in communities that need them, while continuing to meet our national priorities. This is underscored by events such as the 2016 flood in West Virginia, which claimed 23 lives and destroyed over 1,000 homes. We are still waiting on initial funding for a comprehensive study by the Corps to assess existing flood protection gaps and inform future projects in the Kanawha River Basin where most of the damage in the 2016 flood occurred. While I fully intend to see that this study receives a new start, it will do little good if recommended projects are held up due to analysis that sort of disregard the needs of certain communities. In that same vein, it is also important that Congress promote efficiencies in the Corps project delivery process to support its central missions. The Corps decision-making process is often perceived as a black box by non-federal sponsors without the requisite expertise or experience, and this should change. The Congress should continue to encourage and enhance assistance on the part of the Corps to communities and non-federal sponsors. People on the ground know what their water resource challenges are, and the experiences and expertise of the hardworking men and women at the Corps can help inform them of paths forward to address those challenges. As we make these changes, however, it is important that we do not become too overly prescriptive. Our nation's water resources are diverse. As I said, communities know better about their unique needs than policymakers here. So we must preserve the important role of non-federal sponsors in the development and delivery of projects. In closing, let me reiterate my gratitude for our witnesses for being here today, and I thank Chairman Carper for having this hearing. The mission of the Corps is ever more critical than ever, and the testimony we hear today will inform this committee as it continues its integral role. Mr. Chairman, I would like to take a point and introduce my a friend of mine, but also a great West Virginian who's on our panel before we begin our testimony.
I'm